game, every moment. KFAN brings you the men's college basketball tournament driven by Dave Smith Motors. Tune in this Saturday on the free iHeartRadio app to catch the insanity from Indianapolis.
Spot's been wrote. Now it's just a matter of getting in there and recording with Blake more. So funny. I mean, not as funny as the Power Trip Morning Show, of course. Yoga Pants Press. But it's still going to be funny. Yes, 1 o'clock hour begins, as always, with 5, 3, 4.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Brought to you by Willow River Company. Question number 1. Programming Predicament.
Yes, the Timberwolves are at Detroit to take on the Pistons at 6 p.m. That's on FanDuel Sports Network Plus. Of course, you can listen to it on the iHeartRadio app. And the Wild host the Vancouver Canucks at 7 p.m. on FanDuel Sports Network. And you can hear that game right here on the Fan. Common, what are you going to do about tonight's
Programming Predicament?
Well, after giving it a couple of 13 and 14 nanoseconds of thought, I think I will... Remind me to make you a list of all sorts of different old shows, and we can put a different one in all the time. You know, variety is the spice of life. And I've been accused of not doing anything new in the past 20 years, so that would be new. Because right now we've had Rockford Files, Gilligan's Island,
Cheers,
and
Leave It to Beaver.
So there are.
Do you want to make me a new list and then I can check it off every time so we're not repeating the exact same songs?
Yes, because we don't like to repeat ourselves on this show. So yeah, we will do that. That sounds like a really good idea. That sounds like fun. I'm sorry, what were my options again?
Wolves at Pistons or Wild versus Canucks?
I would have said, without even hesitating, Wolves, Pistons. Pistons may be the best team in the East. Some think they might be the best team in all of. Well, nobody thinks that, do they? But they're one of the best teams in the NBA, and the Wolves are fighting for playoff positioning. And the Canucks are the worst team in hockey. But after what they did last night to what people consider the best team, isn't it considered the best and the worst played last night, and the worst beat the best?
Vancouver's the worst team in the NHL, points wise.
So. Maybe I better sneak a peek.
We got them on a second on a back-to-back. Maybe they're tuckered.
Oh, yeah, that's it. They let it all. They've used their allotment of goals for a week, haven't they? I mean, most hockey games.
They might be coming in with a little confidence.
Yeah. And don't they have 3 of our former players?
So I was going to bring that up. There's two levels of intrigue for the Wild Canucks game tonight. One, the Wild can officially clinch a playoff spot tonight. Mm-hmm. If they get a point, they're in the playoffs for sure. That being said, there's also other ways that if they lose tonight, there's other teams that can lose that they can clinch a playoff. They will probably clinch a playoff spot tonight. The second would be it's Quinn Hughes' first game against the Vancouver Canucks. And then, of course, the 3 guys that were on the Wild, Marco Rossi, Zeev Buium, and Liam Ogren, now coming back to Minnesota. So I can't wait for because we always have to do the thanks,
right.
During an intermission, they're going to show Marco Rossi on the screen with some highlights, and then fans will clap for him. Will
Gorg do the in-between period interviews with those guys, do you think?
Maybe. But, Quinn Hughes against his former team is probably the most intriguing.
Yeah.
And he's back with Brock Faber tonight. Sounds like those two are reunited as a defensive pairing.
Peaches and herb. So good for them. I was going to ask you one other thing. Oh, on football, it gets to the part of the season, Team A gets in if, and then it has like the long list. If you tried to do that for hockey right now, it would take like a whole hour to get through all the different, because would be like the Wild get 1 point tonight, or so-and-so wins, loses, or draws, somebody else wins, loses, or draws.
I could find the scenarios for you, because it is lengthy how they can get in tonight, if I can find them. I saw them earlier.
And it is lengthy, right? And it's like, when I always see those lists, I could read the list and memorize the list and then have you ask me 5 minutes later what had to happen, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I don't know. It's all so confusing. I just wait till they say clinched.
So there's 4 scenarios in which the Wild can get in the playoffs tonight.
4, you say?
1, you get at least 1 point against Canucks.
Okay, that's easy.
But if you lose in regulation, here are the other 3 scenarios you can get in. If the Blackhawks defeat the Oilers in regulation and the Maple Leafs defeat the Sharks in any fashion and the Flames defeat the Golden Knights in regulation, they're in. Or if the Maple Leafs defeat the Sharks in regulation tonight, we're in. Or any result in the Kings Predators game other than a Kings regulation win, the Wild are in tonight. Yeah. So
it's the only sport where you have regulation wins. I guess you say extra innings in baseball and overtime, but it's just weird regulation wins. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to get in. Here's my guess. We're getting in tonight. One of those scenarios, Jeff Cesario, has to happen, doesn't it?
Well,
it has to.
After 4 days off, and then you play the worst team in the National Hockey League, if you can't secure a point,
right,
then maybe I will start getting a little concerned.
And even if they don't, let's say they do lose tonight, one of those other scenarios has got to happen, doesn't it? You know what? I'm going to make a bold prediction. I'm going to do a Nostradamus. Yeah. Wild clinch a playoff spot.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you very much.
Question number 2. And now it's time to go in the trenches.
You like that? You like that?
A day after Fernando Mendoza's pro day, the Las Vegas Raiders agreed to a contract with quarterback Kirk Cousins. Cousins will reunite with head coach Clint Kubiak, who was his offensive coordinator for 3 seasons with the Purple. Common, will Kirk Cousins be the week 1 starter for Vegas, or will the Raiders, assuming they draft him number 1 overall, start Fernando Mendoza?
They still got Derek Carr. He's been in the league like 25 years, isn't he? Well, now if we just go back a year or 2, apparently Cousins was bitter after he signed with Atlanta. Then they decided to draft Penix like 8th overall. And then his feelings were hurt. Well, I signed you because I wanted to be the starter. And I was like, suck it up. If you play better, then all you have to do is outplay Penix and you'll be the starting quarterback. Just outplay the guy. But there were others that, and you and I debated it and talked about it. And I guess I can understand that line of thinking. But to me, the easiest thing is just play better than the other guy. You'll get the job. It sounds, he's got to know they're going to draft that guy. So he has to know that Mendoza's the future. And I would think Cousins' agent has done enough sniffing around. I just don't think there's a big market for Kirk Cousins, right? I mean, I'm not saying there aren't teams that wouldn't like to have him, but I don't think it's like, I can't wait to get our hands on Kirk Cousins. Really? We got a chance to get Kirk Cousins? We slide him into the starting role at Super Bowl, here we come. I just don't think he has that kind of allure. I don't, and I could be wrong. Maybe there were a number of clubs that were vying for his services, but I think it's probably the best he can do. And he's got it. I mean, I suppose. And
he's going to be making $20 million this year because he's basically getting 10 from Atlanta, and then he's going to get a $10 million roster bonus from Vegas. So
I think he's got to know that unless
that's not bad for a guy in his situation.
Unless maybe they've told him, look, we're going to ease Mendoza in.
Which is very possible.
Yeah, which is possible. And you're going to be our starting quarterback.
I do think he'll start week 1.
Do you want?
Because Mendoza is not, even though he's going to go number 1 overall, is not thought to be like
not Caleb Williams, right?
Yeah, he's not this generational quarterback.
But if you're Kirk Cousins, do you want to start for the worst team in pro football? It could be dangerous back there.
Yeah, start for anybody.
Yeah, I guess. I might rather just say, go ahead, start him. I'll watch from the sideline, and then it's safer that way.
I got some pieces there. Brock Bowers is the best tight end in football.
All right.
Ashton Genty was thought to be a very highly regarded running back last year, but had a bad poor year.
I get that, but there is a reason they were drafting first. But things can change in a hurry. You can go worst to first.
Question number 3. It's time now for the lowdown in Dinky Town.
I know you're devastated, Common, but the Gophers men's basketball team lost to Baylor 67-48 last night in the quarterfinals of the College Basketball Crown Tournament in Las Vegas. Cade Tyson scored 19 points to lead the Gophers, but Minnesota shot just 39% from the field and 13% on three-pointers. Common, your thoughts, and do you care at all?
You could shoot 13% from three-point. No, I guess I didn't really care. It's like football bowl games. Other than the bowl championship series, And even then, I don't have a whole heck of a lot. I've explained to you that with the and with Nebraska, because of my boys, that's their alma maters, they root for them. So as a father-son bonding thing, So I did pay attention to Ohio State football last year, and they got bounced right away. And was it the second round? Anyway, they got bounced out of postseason play. But maybe Brother and Peter, we still watch some of the other games. But I didn't. This is the first I've heard of it from you. I didn't even remember. I mean, I knew they were playing in this Crown Plaza.
I didn't know that tournament existed until like 2 days ago.
Right. And I knew it was coming up, but I didn't know it was last night. And I don't even, other than, I guess the players got paid and somebody paid rights to broadcast it. So there was money that was on made.
FS1, yeah.
There was money that was made, but I don't see why anybody would really have. It's sort of like those bowl games, like when you play in the, one of those December 26th bowl games, like what is it called, the Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium. It's on a Tuesday afternoon. It's on a Goodbye Ruby Tuesday. I can't do the Tuesday's Gone melody
bing,
exactly.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah, that's
bing,
it.
Bing, bing, bing.
It's a half empty, if that. It's like three-quarters of the stadium's empty. There's nobody watching. I don't even know why. It's an exhibition game. It makes no sense. That's what they were doing last night. But if the kids were into it and got a paycheck, good for them. But yeah, they need some more. They need some more.
I don't know if they did get a paycheck because they didn't win.
Oh, did you have to win?
I think you had to win to get a paycheck. Because I think the further you advance, the more money you make.
Big fat stacks of booster-provided cash. We'll come back with a little Distat Lat Common Man program on the Fan. 534 brought to you by Willow River and the Willow River Experience. You can do your own 534. It's the Willow River Experience. It's a monthly prescription. You can bundle 5 core services, 3 seasonal upgrades, and 4 custom add-ons. Get it? You do that into one simple plan. Visit willowrivercompany.com today to build your 534 experience.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Brad, Sean, Brian text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Just met Brownie. He played on Des Moines. Your brother Jay, or as we like to call him, Jim Thorpe guy. He's part of the renovation crew. Brownie. Not only that, he played on the town ball team that Jay played on, the Des Moines, and he rolled up his sleeve. He's got a tattoo of the logo of Des Moines on his arm. And he played boot with us, too, back in the day. Played boot over in Shoreview, in the pond behind World's old place. Did you ever play boot with us?
No.
I bet you'd be pretty good at boot, wouldn't you? I mean, you're a good hockey player, so boot, I know it's a little different. Boot's more tiring, isn't it? Or not really? Because we didn't play broom ball shoes. You have to play in like winter boots. So you're just trying to get traction and moving up and down. That's why I played goalie, because it didn't seem like it was as much work as trying to run around on that ice.
It's difficult.
And chase a puck, chase a tennis ball. And by the way, we didn't have like lines. It was 5 guys against 5 guys or 6 guys, and that was it. I mean, we didn't have extras waiting to come into the games. You played the whole game start to finish. So you'd get pretty tuckered out there. But yeah, so Brownie was there. Small world. That's what it is. Old school. He's from Coon Rapids, tough guy town. Anoka Blake, Coon Rapids. So there you go. What else do we got? Oh, here's another. Okay. Let me go to my list of things to talk about. called Notes. Bears Stadium. You know this, right? They I don't think the Bears, do I have it right? They don't want to even do a renovation. They want to move. And isn't their plan to build a place in Indiana? That's where I think they're going.
I don't know how much of it is just a leverage ploy or a bluff. But,
sure.
But
I
yes.
didn't even think of that. Yeah, see, that's where you're right, Tenneby. I didn't even think of that. They're just pulling a bluff is what they're doing.
It's the old threat to move.
Yeah.
It's like when Twins once threatened to be contracted.
Dateline Phoenix, and the reason it's they're not moving to Phoenix, that's where the NFL meetings are. The Bears hope to choose a site for an enclosed stadium in Illinois or Indiana late this spring or early in the summer, according to Kevin, Mark Rosen knows me, Warren. That's what Kevin Warren said. Warren told reporters at the NFL meetings in Arizona the Bears are in an, quote, excellent position as they mull. Of course, you think they ain't? Hey, who wants this? I mean, think of how many cities, if you just said, you know what, we want to relocate. Now, again, the NFL would have to prove that they don't want to move it to you. But how easy would it be to get an expansion club in Chicago, right? Let's say the Bears said, we're going to move to Schenectady, New York. And the NFL probably say, yeah, sure, because we can get, there's somebody that wants a team in Chicago, and they'll pay us that outrageous fee for that, for an expansion club. Warren told reporters, the Bears are in excellent position as they mull building a new home on land they own in suburban Arlington Heights, Illinois, or in Hammond, Indiana, even though they hope to start construction last year. Warren said both sites are excellent. The storied Bears wanted to leave historic Soldier Field, where they've played for more than half a century. Indiana lawmakers are attempting to lure them from the Windy City with a plan to finance and build a dome stadium in Hammond, about 25 miles from their current home on Lake Michigan shore. The Illinois General Assembly has responded with legislation that would give tax breaks to so-called mega projects of at least $100 million, a plan that would encompass the Bears' proposal to build a complex on a 326-acre tract of land they own in Arlington Heights. About the same distance from Soldier Field, the team had hoped to start construction on the site of a former horse racing track in 2025. Before Indiana started trying to lure them, the Bears' focus for a new home had fluctuated from Arlington Heights to the Chicago lakefront and then back to the suburb. They had said they planned to pay for the stadium construction on the site of a former racetrack about 30 miles northwest of their longtime home at Soldier Field, though they would need assistance to complete the project. So it sounds as though, obviously, it's sort of like with the Chiefs, right? Is that still up in the air that the Chiefs might end up moving to the state of Kansas, right? Because I think you have Kansas City, Missouri, and then it's Kansas City, Kansas, or it's Leavenworth. I don't know where, but they're trying to get the Chiefs to move out state. This is the same type of a situation. And it is the old, the teams hold all the cards, right? Who wouldn't want a National Football League team? You think of, we heard the stories here when they talked about building the stadium, they had a couple of sites in Minneapolis at the current site where it's at, which was in the same footprint of the Metrodome. Then there was one out in the Linden Hills area. And then there was one in where the farmers market is, and then there was Arden Hills. And I think you and I we're building in Arden Hills. We're building in Arden Hills because I think you and I both like the idea of spread the wealth a little bit, and tailgating is part of football. I don't know if it's
endless amount of real estate up there.
I don't know if tailgating is that big of a deal for baseball games and basketball games and hockey because there's so many games, blah, blah, blah. But football, it's a once-a-week thing, and you only get, 8 of them a year? 9 of them a year if you don't make the playoffs. So they're kind of special occasions, and people like doing that. So I like that idea, but as we know, it's that smoke-filled room, right? All the powers that be, the people that pull all the levers in Minneapolis, they put a stop to that. They convinced whoever it was, if they had to convince the Wilfs and the NFL and Pete Rozelle and other city leaders or whoever it was they had to convince, because it isn't just obviously the 8 or 9 home games. There's monster truck, the rodeo, there's concerts. It brings money into the local economy. When who's the big country and western guy that threw the chair off the roof? Morgan Wallen. I think he's going to play at U.S. Bank Stadium this year. He's going to sell 60,000 tickets, and they're going to be outrageously priced. And then how many people will be going to going to the restaurants, going to the bars, using the parking ramps?
Yeah,
people that are from. You know how people travel to watch the Vikings from North Dakota? There will be people from North Dakota that will travel to see Morgan Wallen unless he's playing it, or his tour might take him there. But anywhere he's not playing, there might be people that travel there. So I understand that. So the Bears, that's why Warren said we're in a pretty good spot right now. No, really, that surprises me because they can play one side off of the other. There's something for me about, and I don't mind. I'm not completely resistant to change. I still wish that we communicated with carrier pigeon. I've admitted that. But I kind of like those older. Soldier Field's pretty cool. Is it because it's not domed? I thought, haven't they done some renovations? Isn't it still considered a great football stadium on the shores of Lake Erie? But I guess they figure the dome stadium will again allow year-round use, 365 days a year. Morgan Wallen can go play in Chicago. Right.
Well, isn't there something to the Chicago Stadium being owned by the city?
No,
because I always hear about the field conditions, and it's because basically the city of Chicago Park and Rec is the one putting the field together.
Well, maybe that is, yeah. Maybe that's part of it. And I know, again, I know they're not going to. I'm glad they're not playing at Metropolitan.
It's owned by the Chicago Park District. So the Bears are tenants, not owners.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that's the other thing.
That's why they want their own stadium.
That's the other thing. Let me guess, they're willing to pay for half, but the city's got to pony up the other half. Man, heck, if they're getting bidding war like that, they might not have to drop a dime into it. They might get it all paid for and then still get the deed to the place. How nice would that be? Being a National Football League owners are really...
It's also the smallest stadium in the NFL with just a football capacity of 62,500.
Yeah, and the way they've been playing, they could sell more tickets than that.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
But some years, I don't think they could even half fill it. So anyway, yeah, they're in a... And then they won't call it Soldier Field anymore. They'll call it... there'll be some sponsor they'll slap onto, which is fine. I get it. We slap sponsors on all of our stuff, too. The Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. But don't they
It'll become Motorola Stadium.
Yeah.
Or Kraft Heinz.
Well, couldn't it be the new Soldier Field? No. The Motorola Stadium at the new Soldier Field. Right? You could still, I always
love that one.
You know me, I call TCO, the TCO Performance Center. I do call it, but I also call it the new Winter Park because I think Max Winter got short shrift. Just because they moved from there doesn't mean Max didn't mean a lot to the franchise. We'll take a break, come back, we'll tap dance for another half hour. Then the legendary one, Mark Rosen, will join us right here on the Common Man program on The Fan. Couple 13, 14 past. I'm Common East Tennessee. Legendary one, Mark Rosen, joins us not long from here.
Oh, boy.
Think about this, Tennessee. Had they taken our advice and built in Arden Hills, they would not have played any games at TCF Bank Stadium. They would have played everything at the Metrodome until the stadium in Arden Hills was complete. Think Blair Walsh makes the 27-yard chip shot inside the Metrodome with his eyes closed. So think about that. Deciding to not build in Arden Hills, all the powers that be that make all the decisions and pull all of the levers, and leave it to Beaver, that pull all the levers, the champions of industry, wanted to have it here and not in Arden Hills. Had they been building it in Arden Hills, that game would have been played indoors.
They costed us.
We won a big game.
Yeah.
So those of you who just like it in downtown, think it's a great spot to be, and you love the way it looks like a ship, that's fine. It should have been built in Arden Hills. We have the negatrometer, which we love. That was, and that's within the last 20 years when, I was accused once. I still don't know who it was, but somebody here at the radio station told a listener via the text line that, funny you'd bring up Comet. He hasn't done anything new in 20 years. But this was done within 20 years, the negatometer. The Athletic has what they call a hopometer. Have you heard about the hopometer?
The hopometer?
Hopometer. And the Major League Baseball hopometer.
I think I did see this.
Yeah. The results are in, the ranking fans' optimism in 2026 for all 30 teams. This is from 2 days ago, I think. The results are in, and to no one's surprise, Stephen J. Nesbitt for The Athletic penned this piece. The results are in, and to no one's surprise, LA Dodgers fans are feeling rather hopeful about the 2026 MLB regular season.
When aren't they?
Yeah, well, how could you not be? As the Dodgers embark upon their three-peat campaign, their fans top the Athletics MLB hopometer for the second consecutive year. 99.8% of Dodger fans who participated in our mid-March survey described themselves as optimistic for the upcoming season, and why wouldn't you be? Who's the 0.2% that's pessimistic about the... Yeah, they must be, right? Or you're just not paying as close attention to Dodger baseball as you once did.
Or they accidentally hit the wrong button.
That's possible, too. More than 11,000 fans participated in the 5th annual hopometer. Overall, 72% reported they were optimistic about their favorite team this season, compared to 66% in 2025. Hope springs eternal. 64% in 2024, 75% in 2023, 66% in 2022. Not all fans are hopeful about winning the World Series. Some are just juiced that their rebuild is on track. That's why the team with the optimism score closest to the New York Yankees is Chicago Cubs or White Sox. Optimistic. 99.8% for the Dodgers, right? That leaves 0.2% pessimistic.
Yeah.
Blue Jay fans are pretty pumped too, and why not? They were in the World Series last year and that went to 7 games, didn't it? If I remember this is how bad my memory is.
Yeah, they took them deep.
Yeah. What affliction do I have?
That was an epic World Series.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yesterday was determined I have some affliction. Narrow-mindedness, closed-mindedness, something-mindedness that I think everything was in the last 10, 15 years.
Time blindness?
Time blindness, that's what I've got. Blinded by
the time.
I remember that was a great World Series. Mariners fans are pumped, 95.7%. Tigers, 95%. Royals. And after what I saw last night, I'd be pretty pumped up too. I'd be off the optimistic vote. Because, those last runs were garbage time runs. I mean, it was 12-1 at one time. It ended up being 13-9. There were people still in the stadium. It's raining. It's 12-1. There were still people there. And I wonder how many were actually there. And then Deuce and I were watching. You saw a couple of people just wander down and sit in the box seats for a little while.
Yeah, so I tuned in for like an inning or so. And just like random kids sitting there all by themselves.
Yeah.
With nobody around them.
And what I like about it, because if that was like a sunny day and get out of here, let me see your ticket. They're just like, anybody who's willing to come down here and stay at the stadium in a pouring rain with a 12-1 game, kid, knock yourself out. Just go ahead. Because the usher, he doesn't want to come down there and throw you because he doesn't want to get rained on either. But they allowed the kids to stay there. But Tennessee, you go through the list. We're not going to go through each and every one, but unless you're looking at it upside down, the Twins are at rock bottom. This is their fan base. No! 4.3% of Major League fans, of Twins fans, are optimistic about the Twins' chances. 4.3%, which would be LaBelle, Suhan, who else is on that pocket protector list? Rosen. And I'm
assuming some of the poll ads filled out the survey.
Yeah, they may have did it as well. 4.3% of Twins fans are optimistic about the season. 95.7% are pessimistic. And that's at the very bottom of the list. How sad that is. And it's all their own doing, as we know. I mean, look, let's face it, even if they had spent more in the payroll, after the year that they finally, remember we were 0-18. It was the longest postseason losing streak of the major four. Current. I mean, I think there's been longer than that. I think that, I don't think that was of all time. That was currently. They were 0-18. They finally, they broke through the glass ceiling. They defeated, they beat the Jays and lost to the Stros, or did they beat the Stros and lose to the Jays? Whatever, it doesn't matter much anymore. And then that's when they announced they were going to right-size the payroll, and they cut payroll. So they brought all of this upon themselves. Though, had they even said, you know what? We're going to increase the payroll. We're going to go out and get some free agents. They still might not have ended up winning. But I still think most fans would have said, hey, and it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game, we'll root for the home team. So I think most Twins fans would have said, hey, at least they tried, right? It wasn't for a lack of effort. Now, there would be the gadflies out there and say, well, it was great that you increased the payroll, but you spent it on the wrong players. And that would be if let's just play this out, had they signed some free agents to some expensive contracts, and those free agents would not have lived up to what you would expect them to with the monetary compensation, well, then, yeah, you could make that point that you signed the wrong guys, and we did it with the Vikings, right? I think we all thought interior of the offensive line. You're spot on, KOC. You're seeing just what we're seeing. You're a bright guy. You know football, because we all watched the interior of the Vikings offensive line. It was like bullfighters. It was Olay, right? And the defensive line, they really had trouble rushing the passer from the interior line. So they made the changes. They spent the money on the wrong guys, right? One guy played all games. I can't remember his name, but he was good. He was solid. Fries. And then the other guy was concussion, and he's now retired, I think. And then the defensive guys just didn't play very well. They had their moments, but certainly not what we wanted. But you can't blame, I don't blame the Vikings for not trying. At least they recognized, they were cognized their woeful shortcomings and inadequacies, and they tried to address them. They just addressed them with the wrong people. So had the Twins not cut payroll, and really, again, and I know the Twins have this $400 million debt or whatever it was, and that's the reason they apparently sold percentages of the team and we still don't know who those people are. They still remain unnamed. That was, most people figure the Twins did that, and now they were able to keep the team because they probably sold about $400 million worth of the team, and they got that money. They
got some limiteds.
Yeah, and so they got some limiteds. And, but had they at least made the effort, and who knows, had they made the effort and got the right players, they may have repeated and gone to the playoffs and maybe advanced. But we'll never know that. Now, it's hard to beat what the Dodgers are trotting out there every game.
Yes.
I mean, it really is. I mean, and that's where, I know the pull-out pocket protectors always talk about, they vilify the ownership themselves, not Twins ownership, but because ownership, I think, well, it's not just ownership, it's also the Players Association. I don't think the Players Association really wants a salary cap either, right? Do they? Because they like the idea that they can make as much money as they possibly. What team? I wouldn't want a salary cap here. Would you, Teneby? I'd like them to just pay whatever they wanted. Well, they kind of do that anyway, but you know what I'm saying. So had the Twins, we don't know where they would have been, but the pessimism that permeates the Twin Cities and the upper Midwest, for that matter, Twins fans everywhere, is because it was brought upon yourself for the most part by the we're going to right size the payroll, and then you didn't try to improve on the team. And they've always sort of kind of done that. As we say, they try to run it like it's were they Pepsi or Coca-Cola? They own, do they still own Pepsi? I know they were in bottling, they were in automotive, they were in banking. They had money in a lot of different places. I think maybe in real estate as well. But it's like I think most fans, if the team for me, what the Vikings did wrong was they let the quarterback walk out of the building. That's where I had my annoyance, and where I thought they made the real mistake they made was letting Darnold lead via free agency when you had the franchise quarterback in your building. I don't fault them for the guys they signed. When they signed those guys, it sounded good to me on paper, Tennessee. They were all veteran players. Now, they had all had injuries at one time or another, some very recent, but they were players that had been considered some of the better players at their position. And so you're just kind of hoping if they can bring to the gridiron for the Vikings what they did for most of their career, Vikings might have had a chance to go some places. But then maybe that wouldn't have happened because of what they did with the quarterback situation. I think that was part of it, right? The quarterback situation wasn't all just the interior linemen, sabotage the season. It was also the quarterback just couldn't figure it out because he couldn't connect his eyes with his feet. So,
the preposterous statement from the Dallas Mavericks GM last year after he traded Luka Doncic of he knew the fan base liked Luka, but he didn't know to what extent.
Right.
It was just like ridiculous at the time.
Yeah.
I still kind of look at that as the twin situation where not understanding after how the fan base would feel after finally winning a playoff series. And then that is the year, that's the timing you choose.
Right, correct.
To come out and say, hey, we got to cut the payroll. We got to, how you wouldn't understand why the fan base, you finally had the fan base on your side, right?
Yes.
Like there have been lots of people against the Pohlads, including yourself, championing that cause for years. And I think they had finally gotten the entire fan base invigorated and together, and to completely blow it up that quickly, not understanding the timing of.
That's spot on.
It's just even if you had to right size the payroll because you were in debt, like somebody should have spoke up and go, should we maybe wait a year on this?
Yeah.
Like the timing's just not good right now to
take
do this.
another run, yeah. Even keep it at where it's at. You don't even really have to increase it much, but at least keep it where it's at. This text message on the Brad, Sean, Brian, KFAN text line says, the thing that just bothers me is if you are strapped for cash because of a stadium and can't fill it with players, how can the league even see you as financially competent to own a franchise? Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess when you own it, and they were at the time financially competent. I mean, each team gets to make their own businesses. They are private. You belong to a league or an association, but you are allowed to run under the, I guess, rules and regulations of the league. You can run it like it is. For me, I also felt like, and this is obviously water that's way under the bridge, but I felt like we were sold a bill of goods when they said we cannot compete without a new stadium. We cannot compete without a new stadium. And I guess there was it depends upon how you define compete, because that first year they did. If you remember the first year the stadium opened, they went to the playoffs. They lost to the Yankees. They were up, I think I have this correct, Game 1 against the Yankees. I was at the game. Game 1, first playoff game ever at the Goose that laid the golden egg. We were up 3-0. I say we. And then, of course, when the Yankees went ahead, I said they were behind. But it was, who was our lefty? Liriano. I think, didn't Liriano start Game 1?
Yes.
And we were up 3-0. And then I don't remember what happened. Yankees outscored us the rest of the way. That's what happened. And we lost in a sweep. And then after that, they and I don't have the payroll for each and every year in front of me, because it did go up occasionally. I mean, it fluctuated by a few million here and there, but it was never, it's really more than anything. The payroll's been shrinking over the years to where it is now, where it's like, why? I thought you said you needed the stadium to compete. We all took you at your word that meant the money that was generated by I remember Tennessee going online the morning they were selling tickets, because I wanted to see the stadium. I wanted to take the boys to the baseball game, right? Deuce, Baby Brother Peter, and my lovely wife Potato. And I was sitting on that computer waiting. And I finally got tickets. I don't even know, because I'm technologically inept. I don't even know if I got them through the computer. I ended up getting, it's still my favorite story. The tickets I got were the last row, third deck in center field. For Potato didn't go. It was Deuce.
That's way up there.
And I'll never forget, as long as we get to the top. Deuce turns around and looks. He goes, "These are the best seats in the house."
I always love that one.
I like being way up high. And I've been, I've been privy to some numbers, and I got some hour numbers that are really big.
Yeah.
And they might still have season tickets. They had season tickets behind the camera well on the third base side, so I had those one time. I got a pair of those, and those are. It's fun being that close to the action, but for baseball, I kind of like being up on top like that and looking down and seeing the entire field. So we had a good time.
I like the rosy seats in Champions Club.
Yeah,
because then you can actually see balls and strikes. Right, anywhere else in the stadium, you don't know if it's a ball or a strike.
Well, I
always laugh when it's called a ball instead of a strike, and everyone starts booing as if they can see it from left field.
Well, I'll tell you what, the umpire's got the best seat in the house, and most of the time he can't tell if it's a ball or strike. Hold on. Last night, the Twins... Hold on, I saved this story, too. Give me 1 second. This is from The Athletic. I think this was before... This is Dan Hayes. This was yesterday. Yeah, updated... April Fool's Day at 11:16 p.m., so this was after the game. It said, well, at least the 2026 Minnesota Twins lead the league in something. During an ugly, rainy 13-9 loss to KC, the Twins, Major League Baseball's most aggressive automated ball strike challenge system team, set season highs for challenges requested, 9, overturned calls, 8, in combined challenges in a game, 11. They requested 9, and 8 of them were overturned. So not only is it hard to see if it's a ball or strike from the last row, third deck in center field at the Goose that laid the golden egg, sitting right behind home plate as the umpire.
They're playing right now, and they just had 2 of them go their way.
Yeah.
Where the umpire called, they were pitching. Umpire called them both balls. Jeffers. Is he playing catcher or is it? I think it's Saratini's playing catcher. Challenged both, got them both right.
Yeah. Well, I read another story via The Athletic. If you're really into that inner ball stuff and want to dive deep into it, it is, yesterday, I think it was yesterday, the day before, I was telling you I was all for it. And I guess I am because I like instant replay. I do. I like getting the call right. But, man, it does got to grind on you if you're in an umpire, because it's like, okay, I missed it, but I was 1/100th of an inch off. It's like, How do you expect the naked eye to see that? And that's why when
they're pitching 95 miles per hour.
And that's why when they originally were going to do it, I thought, this is because I don't pay close enough attention, I thought what they were going to do was the camera was going to call balls and strikes every single pitch of the game, and that the umpire behind home plate would be there to, make the safe at home or out at home calls, but also they need somebody to signal it, right? So he would be behind there, and he'd have the little earpiece in, and the pitch would go across, and right away it would be ball, and then he would just signal ball, strike, and that. But no, it's a challenge system. And it seems like the challenges are going more right than they are wrong. In other words, the umpire's getting overruled more often than you might expect, but I guess it is what it is. We'll see what the legendary Mark Rosen thinks. I texted him last night during the game, and I said, your favorite player just led off the game with a single. I don't know if he led off the game. Maybe it was the second batter. Bobby Witt. That's Rosen's favorite player. That's what he told us. Remember that? His favorite player. And then his favorite player also stole a base last night, too. But, Twins got just absolutely walloped last night. I know the score looks a little closer than the game. It's 13-9, but they were down 12-1 at one point. We'll take a break. We'll come back. The legendary one joins us here on the Common Man program along with Tennessee here on The Fan.